Hello and welcome. Welcome to another podcast. Today we have the wonderful Rachel Haith, who is a coach and speaker. Rachel, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem at all. So let's kick off straight away. Can you tell me your business story of how you've got to this point?
Yeah, sure. My business story actually started from a place where I had no plans whatsoever to be in business. I always thought I'd be employed. Um, that felt like the safer option. And oh yeah, I'd much rather have someone else taking the pressure, if you like. And I know I'm going to be paid every month. But when I was leaving my previous career, I knew I wanted flexibility around family. Um, and so quite by chance, I came upon friends that were already in business for themselves, and I took a look and realised I could get the time freedom that I wanted. And that business started in health and well-being with Forever Living, and that's really when my personal development journey, really took off, and I led me to give a lot of thought to what I wanted from the future. And I realised that being in charge of my own destiny and being in business, whilst there was a lot to learn, and it was definitely an uphill curve, I knew that that was where I wanted to be. And I was I had plans to do a coaching diploma. I didn't plan to become a coach. I just knew that, based on the fact I've always had a fascination with people and psychology, and I'm a real, I thrive around people, and I'm really fascinated by that. So when I did the coaching diploma, it was more about personal development for me, and helping me in business relationships with my well-being business. Within a month of starting the diploma, I knew that coaching was what I was put on the earth for. So coaching had to become the main thing, which was launched about a week before the first lockdown of the pandemic. So it's been a really interesting journey, lots of ups and downs along the way. The pandemic, did, yeah, cause problems, I guess, in terms of building the business. But I've learned a lot along the way, and it's been quite an interesting journey. And I love what I do. And they say, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And that's how I feel. That's kind of where I've got to now.
That's brilliant. I say to find that passion so soon after taking some time for yourself to do studying and things is so
Yeah,
important.
yeah,
And as you rightly say, that's your passion now and your belief, which is absolutely amazing. And yes, you mentioned COVID and things, which I don't know, seems like an eternity ago. Although,
doesn't it just?
yeah, most definitely. And I say we all had our ups and downs during COVID. So yeah, so well done for starting it just before COVID. That was a fantastically timed. But I guess you were able to have a lot of people out, during that period, even
Yes.
even if it was unpaid. The amount of mental health issues that were about, and obviously those people that sadly passed,
Yeah.
during the pandemic. Yeah, you must have heard some stories, and obviously got a lot out of that period of our lives.
Absolutely. And I think it gave a lot of people the time and headspace to really think about what they wanted from life and whether they were content with where they were in life. Against obviously a backdrop of a very difficult time for many, but that extra headspace it gave to people, I think, was really useful, and it was great to be able to help people through that.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you very much. So let's go all the way back then. Let's have a look at your origins and your background and where you came from. Obviously, prior to setting up the coaching business, literally just before the pandemic.
Yeah. Um, so my previous career, I was a commissioned officer in the Royal Air Force, which I served in the regulars for 17 years. Um, I'd prior to that, I'd gone through the all through education, GCSEs, A levels. I went to university, moved away from home, which was a great experience. It really helped me to become more independent, which I'd recommend to anyone. Um, and then I joined the Air Force. It took a couple of attempts to get in. I had to get much fitter than I was, and I was absolutely determined to do what was required, and I did, and I got in. So I spent 17 years in that career, and then did actually complete 5 years as a very part-time reservist as well. after that. But it was, I took so much away from that career because I learned a lot about myself, a lot about leadership. That there were ups and downs, quite extreme ones within that journey. I did have a breakdown whilst I was serving in the RAF. Again, I don't regret any of that. I view it very much as a learning experience, and the self-awareness it's given me to come through that and come out the other side. And there was also within that 17-year career, there was a time where my self-belief just was on the floor. I completely stopped believing in who I was, wondered if I was actually rubbish, even though everyone was telling me I wasn't, and I think I knew deep down that I wasn't. But a number of things happened, which some of which I talk about when I do speaking. But I realised that I had to take control. If I wanted to change my future, that was up to me. And I actually, with hindsight, realised I'd let the organisation take my self-belief away from me because I'd put my own validation of myself. Left that in their hands, but that's my responsibility to validate me, and anything externally from anyone else is a bonus on top. So there were definite ups and downs to that career. However, it brought me so much in terms of skills and knowledge and just awareness of how things can be, but also the control that you can take to change things for yourself. So I took myself from zero to hero in terms of self-belief in the latter years of that career, and that's why I'm so passionate about helping people with that sort of thing these days.
Well, you know what? Thank you for being so open and honest. As I say, it's there's still stigma attached to mental health, but nowadays, thank goodness, it's a lot more out in the open. And for most people, there's a lot of help out there as well. So thank you for talking about that. I'm sure a lot of people will resonate with that at some point in their lives.
Yeah.
So in relation to the coaching and the speaking, what's your mission for it?
So my mission is to help people to empower themselves. That's what it really boils down to, whether that's through one-to-one and group coaching, speaking, well-being workshops, health and well-being, really helping people to turn self-doubt into self-belief. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. It's all about helping people to empower themselves.
No, I love that. That's absolutely amazing. And to go hand in hand with that, what's your vision?
So my vision, I guess if you could put a number on it, similar to yourself, I know we've spoken about it before, wanting to touch as many lives as possible, helping 1 million people. What an aspiration to have. But it's to build my business to a point where I can help more people, and where I can then help people in a free of charge, pro bono way. Being able to give back and to help people who aren't in a position to pay for it themselves, but they know what a difference it could make to the course of their life and the way they live. So to be able to give back in that way would just be absolutely fantastic. Making a difference is a really, really big motivator for me, whether that's for my children, for the wider world, the people I work with. Wanting to make a difference is huge for me.
Yeah, and that is so lovely to hear. As I say, we have spoken about it before, and when you look at the mental health situation of the NHS, and even the youngsters and the adults who have to go onto a waiting list to actually have someone to spend the time to listen to them, to listen to their issues, and that's what people want, and it literally is 12, 24, 36 months to actually get the care and attention that they need. So for you, by offering a service for the people less fortunate, I think is absolutely wonderful. So yeah, that's really good. So tell me then, so we know a bit about your past, we know a bit about you starting. So how did you get started? What was the crossover between obviously leaving the forces and then starting up your own business?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it was an interesting journey from the point of view that I had no aspiration to be self-employed, because it felt, oh, that's too difficult. Why would I want to put that much pressure on myself? Um, but the the freedom that comes along with it was obviously a huge motivator. And you know, wanting to be able to carve the time that I need to be there for my children, whether it's school plays, all those things that I'd perhaps had to sacrifice before. Um, and as I've mentioned, it was a huge learning curve to learn how to be in business and to do it effectively. And it's very much a continuing journey. I think you learn a lot as you go along, but equally you don't know what you don't know. So it's the phrase "every day's a school day" is so true, because there's always something new you can learn, or hearing something in a different way that, oh, actually, that lands differently and makes a difference. So yeah, it's definitely been one heck of a journey, but one I'm really glad I took the leap of faith to do, because I suppose there was a time I wasn't sure how that would work. Not even necessarily a lack of self belief in my ability to do it. It was more the 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 thought that, well, safety, better the devil that kind of stay where you are, because it's simple and safe, and it's a known quantity. Whereas being in business for yourself, as we all know, can be all over the place. But yeah, I don't regret it for a moment.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you very much. And I think, as you say, having the family and being there for various events that they do, being
Yeah,
in the forces, I imagine obviously that being quite difficult to get time off, or even if you're in the same country as,
yeah,
as the family doing things. So yeah, so that is, yeah, I think that's why a lot of people set up by themselves. And as you say,
yeah,
there is so much to learn, and every day is a school day. And as long as what I always say, as long as we learn, at least one thing a day, no matter how big or small, and we can take that through to the rest of our lives. We're always learning, and we all have the capabilities to learn as well, no matter what our background is or anything like that. So yeah, thank you very much. So going on to the coaching and speaking again, what type of customer problems do you support and solve?
So it can be quite varied. I mean, the key theme is self-belief. So obviously people that are having more self-doubt than self-belief in their day, if that's really a recurrent problem. But it can manifest in lots of different ways. So, for example, I've had uh, clients who are just not feeling fulfilled in the way that they're working in their working life. And quite often what you find is there's just some feeling of there's something missing, or a feeling of, I know I could be more, do more, achieve more, there's more to life, but I don't know what it is, and I don't know what it looks like. And this is often where people will think, yeah, but better the devil I'll stay where I am, because it's a known quantity. So really, it's the problems I help people solve is when people feel stuck, but they just know there's something more. They can't shake that feeling that there's something else. It's not about um, being busier. When I say do more, be more, achieve more, it's not about being busier. It's about achieving the more that brings you that really deep level of joy and happiness, and knowledge that you're doing what's aligned with who you are, and what you really want from life. So it can manifest as a lack of self-belief and confidence. Imposter syndrome obviously is a very common phrase that we hear, behind closed doors, that crippling self-doubt, feeling like an imposter in the situation that you're in. And usually you tend to find people that have imposter syndrome are often incredibly talented people, but they don't have the self-belief to believe that they're credible and as talented and an expert as everyone else sees them. Um, So for me, like I say, self-belief is a huge part of it, but it's quite often there's something just not quite right, but the person doesn't know what to do about it.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah, I
it comes
can
to me.
totally see that. So it makes a lot of sense. And like self-belief, imposter syndrome, there's so many people who will even get a job for an employer, and you say, I've just got this job, but we'll have to see how it goes. And it's kind of like, you've done really well. You've passed the
Yeah,
interview stage. You've been offered the position. They think you can do it. But people still seem to be quite negative. And let's say a little bit of fear is always a good thing. But
yeah,
as you say, when people say that to you, it's kind of like you've done the hard work. So obviously, you helping them unlock that self belief, I think, is really important because we're all only on this earth once, aren't we? We don't get to rerun every day.
absolutely.
And what I often say is, if you do something, not something bad, but something happens, yes, it might harm your day, but the next day we learn from what's happened the previous day, and you push
Yeah,
forward. As long as you take a lesson from it, if it was something that you did incorrectly, then I think that's really, really important. So yeah, self belief is so important as to why we do what we do.
yeah,
So in relation to that, from the research that I've done prior to the program, you offer group coaching program
yes.
and also one-to-one coaching as well. Can you tell me the difference between the two, please?
Okay, so one-to-one coaching obviously is myself and the client. It's very much a place where you can go a bit deeper into what's going on for someone because I help to create a safe and secure space where they feel happy to open up and perhaps talk about things they've never even admitted to themselves before, let alone to anybody else. And so the power of verbalizing those things and thinking and reflecting on them can be huge. And usually people will come for one-to-one coaching if there is something specific that they're feeling, whether it's I'm unfulfilled because I'm not looking after myself, or my work life isn't what I want it to be, or there's a relationship in my life that I'm not content with, I don't know what to do about it. It can be usually it's with a quite specific issue in mind, that someone would come for one-to-one coaching. In terms of group coaching, the beauty of group coaching is diversity of thought. So I limit the program to 6 people at a time, because any more than that, and there's potentially, with some of the things that we discuss, any more than that, and not everyone might have a voice necessarily. And it's really important to me that each person has a voice. But that the different experiences of the different people that are within the program at any one time, it really helps each other in terms of showing different perspectives and showing different ideas, which, quite often, and I've said it before already, you don't know what you don't know. And so sometimes just having that opportunity to listen to other people who are perhaps having similar issues, but they're coming at it from a different perspective, can just help people to understand where they're at and why, and what they might be able to do about that. And what I love about group coaching is the rapport that's built around those kind of diverse people. And it becomes a mutually supportive collective. And that's why I call it the Inspired Life Collective, because it really does become a collective of people who, obviously, I'm there to support them all, but they naturally end up becoming mutually supportive of each other as well. And I also find that once the program is finished, they do stay as a support network for each other, which I think's really, really powerful. And it's, yeah, I will always love one-to-one coaching, because usually that's where the deeper, powerful, even more powerful stuff happens. But that doesn't mean that group coaching isn't powerful. It is, and it will still often bring emotion to the fore. But um, the group dynamic, I think, is just a really powerful thing, and it can, for some people, be a way to come into coaching that just feels simpler and easier to get involved with, because the pressure's not all on one person. It's spread between a group, if you like. And when I say pressure, I never put pressure on people, but you know what I mean. People can feel that kind of self-induced pressure, and I think it's a shared experience. So it's for some people will seem an easier in to coaching.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, coaching is one of those things, isn't it? It's kind of like if we were playing a sport, we'd have a sports coach.
Yeah.
If we wanted to go and compete at the Olympics, we'd have an Olympic, coach, and they would literally set out, every part of your life to make sure you achieve that goal.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one-to-one basis is very, very important. But as you said, the other way in is through the group coaching side, and usually, cohorts, whatever you do. If you imagine going to, what we're going to use an example, losing weight, for instance, you all go to the same group, you're all there for the same purpose, when you get different ideas from certain people. So, the group coaching method, I think, is really, really special as well, because you meet different people and you're all there for the same thing. You all want each other to succeed. And that's, as much as when you have a business or you have an idea even about doing whatever, you'll talk it through with your nearest and dearest, maybe some family and friends, but if they're not in the same headspace as what you are, then your idea, they might find all the negatives to it, and won't inspire you to go and do what you need to do. Whereas in a group coaching environment like what you offer, I would perceive it to be that everyone is your champion, everyone is there to support, and the idea is taken on board, and actioned, and I think you're all striving for the same thing, which is such a massive thing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. They all become cheerleaders of each other, and I'm chief cheerleader, if you like, to give it an analogy. Yeah.
I'm assuming that your one-to-one coaching can start any time of the year.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
And then the group coaching, does that start certain times of the year?
It does, yes. It actually aligns, because it's aimed at small business owners, it aligns with the financial year to help people to, smash their goals and break down their barriers for that particular financial year. So we start in the last week of March to then work it through the financial year, keeping in line with those wonderful self-assessment tax returns that we all have to do.
And do you know what I like about that? I like that as well, because you're with somebody for a full year. So it's not just like quick and easy. Anyone that's in business realizes that there's longevity to what you do.
Yeah.
And that's, with the group coaching side, knowing what you do already, there is that, it's stepping stones, isn't it? You're building them up.
Absolutely.
It's not just like, you're not selling me that you've just got like a quick win. It's going to take 3 hours, whoosh, away you go. That there's a real thing about, it will, we'll work through different things over the 12 months. Yeah. And obviously with the support of the group coaching program. I love that. And obviously getting ready for the beginning of the financial year as well.
Yeah.
Which is all good. Yeah. Having listened to you previously speak on several occasions, one of the reasons why I wanted to invite you onto the podcast, you use the term live your life by design, not by accident. I love it. I just wonder if you could explain a bit more about that motto to the people watching.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, that motto, I tend to use it quite a lot. For me, it's about, it's almost an education thing, educating people that there is always a choice. Now, when you're feeling stuck, unfulfilled, lacking in confidence, it can often feel like there isn't a choice, because you feel like you're stuck where you are. There's no way out. You're stuck at a crossroads, don't know which way to turn. And I almost feel like it's my duty to open people's eyes to the fact that they have a choice. Doesn't necessarily mean that choice is going to be an easy one. That's the caveat I'd add. Making these choices can be difficult, because it might mean a change of career, a change of direction. It could mean all sorts of things, or it could just be choices to make small tweaks to make things work better for the client. So it's an education piece, all about empowering people to realize that they do have a choice. Just, it's not always easy to implement it, but that choice is there. And it's about building the self-belief and confidence to have the courage to take the leap and, irrespective of what the outcome's going to be, to go for it.
I love that. Yeah. Live your life by design, not by accident, honestly. Yeah, it's really, really good. So with that, can you describe the type of coaching you do? So we've discussed obviously the one-to-one and the group coaching side.
Yes.
And just bearing in mind there is so many different types of coaching available. Can you put into words, the style that you offer, or the types you offer?
Absolutely. So for me, I am what I would describe as a purist coach. So, as you've alluded to, coaching comes in many forms, and it can be really effectively delivered with other holistic therapies, also with mentoring, teaching, training. There are so many different ways that coaching can be administered. For me personally, my approach is very much a purist approach, in that the client has their own answers. So I'm not going to tell that person what to do about any of the issues that they have. I'm going to create an environment for them to, and ask the right questions to get them thinking and questioning who they really are at a deeper level, and therefore what they want. That self-awareness will enable them to, build their self-belief and have the courage to make those decisions that actually lead them to the life they want. So, they're more often than not, there will be, action plans or goals set, but that will all come from the client. It's not going to come from me, and that's the difference, really. That the service that I offer, it's very much about that purist approach of the client has their own answers.
No, I love that. So it's them taking ownership of their destiny, obviously with you there to support and facilitate. Yeah. No, that's really, really good. And one other question, I noticed on your backdrop there, you've got the Rennie show.
Yes.
So if you'd like to tell us all about that, it says the Rennie Show podcast. Enlighten us.
Okay, so the Rennie Show is a fortnightly podcast that I've been doing for about very nearly 2 years now. And it's with myself and Jenny Gordon. So Rachel plus Jenny equals Rennie, hence the name. And we're both coaches, and we want to give basically a fortnightly dose of honesty and positivity to the world. We talk about everything from socks to self-belief. So, one day we might be talking about, what's your favorite jacket potato topping? The next minute we're talking about, really fundamental things like values, self-belief, resilience, mindfulness, and any one of a number of well-being topics that you can think of, anything that's personal development related, really. The difference with our podcast compared to a lot of other podcasts is that we stream live and unedited at the time, but we then upload it to all the major podcast channels and onto YouTube, so you can listen live or on catch up, depending on what suits your lifestyle. But we very deliberately keep it live, and the questions are a surprise on the day to the other presenter. So we don't discuss, we might have a themed show, for example, one show, I think we talked about fear. We do sometimes have a theme, but we don't tell the other person what the questions are going to be, because it's really interesting to see where that conversation goes. About a year ago, perhaps just over, we also started having guests on the show, and the same thing applies. We'll ask them 3 questions that they have no idea what's coming, and they will ask us a question which we'll both answer, which, again, we have no idea what's coming. But what we tend to find is that makes for some really natural conversation, and sometimes that can be quite challenging because it really makes you think on the fly, but then that's also part of the fun. And for us, it really is about keeping it, we do talk about some heavy subjects sometimes, but it is also a fun show, hence why we might have a silly question about, Marmite, yes or no. And then next minute be talking about something really serious. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's a great opportunity for us to get our messages out there and, tell people or showcase to people what we're about. So yeah, it's good fun.
That sounds brilliant. Scares me that it's live and unedited. You don't see the questions. But no, but that is definitely a skill and a talent that you have. And I say, having listened to some episodes prior to this,
Yeah.
it seems like you both have a lot of fun with doing it, and there's
Yeah.
some really important messages in there as well, which is
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. Well, the last question from me is for those people that are thinking about starting up their own business,
Yeah.
what advice would you give them?
Oh gosh, I mean, there's so much. I feel like I've learned so much in the years I've been in business. One of the biggest things I would say is, aside from learning as much as you can from other people, and there are so many resources out there to help you, but I would say try not to focus on what everybody else is doing. It's too easy, comparisonitis. Comparing your success or perceived lack of compared to what is going on for other people, which can be really damaging to your self-belief and confidence in what you're doing. And, it leads you nowhere because you don't actually know how successful or otherwise anybody is. Everyone, we present this image on social media about who we are and how business is. And, I hopefully all my content comes across as really authentic. I do talk about the down stuff as well as the good stuff, but I think don't compare yourself too much to others, because you don't really know what's going on behind closed doors. And even your perception that, oh, they're doing so brilliantly, why aren't I doing as brilliantly as that? Well, they might not be. They might just be really good at telling a story. So walk your path, is the advice I would give. And obviously that's one area that coaching is really helpful for. But yeah, definitely walk your own path.
That's brilliant. I love the one-liners that you have. Really, really good. Honestly, do you know what? It's been an absolute pleasure just speaking to you, listening to your story. I mean, I learned some bits in there too. Your background as well, how you started out and how you made it to where you are. Your mission and your vision, including the element of the being able to give back as well, I think is truly, inspirational.
Thank you.
And what's more inspirational is you never started out wanting to be a coach. It was something that just you start to do a course, realize you loved it, and then you realize that was your calling, which I think is so important. That when we're at school, even when I was at school all those years ago, you were put in education, and then you were pretty much asked to line up your your ducks in terms of what you wanted to do as a career. And I think in this day and age, it's all changed. Anyone at any time can have a change of direction. And the main thing that I've got is the coaching part. Being a coach myself, and obviously knowing you and the success you have with coaching, is that everyone needs a mentor or a coach. As we were saying before, if you're doing a sport, you have a coach. You don't just rock up and decide to play football, volleyball, any of the other sports that are out there. You join a team. You join that group coaching community, and you learn from each other. The more skilled people that you play with, usually your game increases to the same level, and it's that kind of ethos that we need to look at. Because I suppose in the UK, if you're over the water in America, there's a lot of people that have mentors, coaches, therapists. Over in the UK, it's a little bit more unheard of, but there's so much strength from having a coach, having a mentor, and whether it's in business or life, there's so many benefits. When you'll talk to your coach and your mentors about stuff that you never usually would, with the people that you have at home or friends and family. They know what you do. They appreciate, when you're down and things, you might tell them that, but in terms of the bigger picture about what's going on, it takes, professionals, like Rachel there to actually, dig down, find out what's going on, or formulate a plan with you. Obviously, you're in control, and then you action it, and then you have that accountability part as well.
Definitely,
yeah, and we all, when we're working for others, it's all about, as we said before, where that paycheck is coming from. But when it's your own business, you've put the plans into place, and it's up to you to follow them through. We might all have bad days. One day's okay, 2 days is okay, 3 days, yeah, we need to try and turn it around. And having known Rachel and her positivity and belief, if you're on one of the programs, or even you want that one-to-one support, having a word with Rachel will certainly brighten up your day, and then put you back on track. So Rachel, I can't thank you enough. You've got your socials there. So website inspiredlifegroup.co.uk. And at the bottom of this, when it's uploaded, there'll be all of Rachel's other links as well to her social media. Please follow her. Please contact if you need a help or support. She's one in a million, and live your life by design, not by accident. Rachel, thank you very much. Have you got any last words?
Just to say thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for your time, because time is, the most precious resource we have. So thank you for your time, and it's been an absolute pleasure. I've loved talking to you, and I would also like to say to people to take the opportunity to work with the Thrive Tribe as well. I'm not just saying that because I'm not just returning the compliment for the sake of it. I'm getting great benefit by working with the Thrive Tribe and working with you and Lucy. So thank you for your help as well.
Oh, that's an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, Rachel. We shall see everybody else on the next podcast. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.